All right, everybody, welcome back. This is the end of the world. Michael and Stu.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Stu. And today we are talking about the late period masterpiece by Abel Ferrara. That's right, it's 2011's 444, Last Day on Earth.
Yeah, says it all, really.
Yeah, the title is quite accurate. That is in fact what the film is about. It's, it's one of these not that expensively made films shot primarily in one location. I think there's one secondary location, several Skype locations also.
Short runtime.
Yeah, 81 minutes, and yet has 81 minutes ever felt so much like 160 minutes?
Yes, it feels like by the end you're ready to join.
Yeah, you're also ready for it to be 444 and for the world to end. That said, there are some things about it that I did like, and it does feature cameos from some of our old friends and some of the themes, including some that we've covered recently. So that will be fun to discuss, but before we get into all that, we should just talk. Tomorrow is Election Day in New York City, in New Jersey, and in Virginia, and if you haven't voted early, which I did you vote early, Michael?
No, I did not vote early. I'm planning to vote tomorrow.
Wow. I'm shocked.
I don't know. Call me old-fashioned, but I'm kind of like an election day.
You like the buzz of going on election day?
I like to say I like the buzz because obviously I just keep putting it off. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what your experience is. Like, I mean, I've never really had any type of significant crowding at all on election day.
Not since I've lived in Brooklyn, but I do almost always vote early at this point and have for the last, at least since COVID, certainly.
Yeah, why? What's the thinking there?
Voting early?
Yeah.
That there will definitely be no crowding. I mean, I live in a region that is dominated by Hasidic people in terms of population, who, interestingly, some of whom may, in fact, be voting for Mamdani. I don't know if you heard about this.
Yeah, did I know?
This is sort of a last second. Yeah, I should vote for him.
Well, the options are plentiful. So
I mean, the logic I think was that free buses are good because we can also take the free buses. Which
I mean,
pragmatically, that is the case. So, God bless. But an unlikely constituency to sort of come out for him at the last minute. No, I always vote early just in case it is overrun with people, and it hasn't been. I literally was one of 3 people there when I went last Monday. So yeah, but hopefully Mamdani wins.
And we will be doing an episode on it.
Yeah, next week we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the election.
Assuming he wins, there will be a very spectacular reaction of people who do believe that the end of the world has arrived. So I think that capturing some of that sort of fits in with some of the other news-based episodes that we've done, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, the doomsaying has already been so hysterical and ludicrous that
a lot of real estate owners are planning on leaving the city.
Oh, I just read a tweet that said
absolute tragedy if that happens.
1 million people, Michael, are going to leave
Just
New York.
1 million? No, I doubt it.
You know how many people left during COVID?
No.
120K. So like 10 times as many people as left during COVID are going to leave because of
that sounds right. I mean, he is trying to get a rent freeze on qualified apartments. It does sound pretty disastrous.
A rent freeze on apartments that are already rent stabilized, which is like a small fraction of the apartments in New York City.
That's it. I'm moving to Stamford.
I'm moving to Connecticut that has even higher taxes.
Right.
So, who's not that excited about the election, it seems, is our beloved leader. That's right. It's President Trump. President Trump.
He's showing his sort of textbook calm that we've come to associate with him.
The calm before, during, and after the storm. I like to think of it as, he's sort of... So he's put out a truth this is just this evening at 5:25. We're recording this on November 3rd, the night Monday before Election Day, and Trump has a message specifically aimed at the voters in Virginia and New Jersey who will be electing new governors. He says, I was just going to read it in toto. He says, Virginia and New Jersey, remember this. A vote for a Republican means substantially lower energy prices. A vote for a Democrat, especially these two losers who are running, means a doubling, tripling, and even quadrupling of your energy costs. Even quadrupling.
Yeah.
It will not be sustainable. Interesting use of sustainable energy, and you will rue the day that you voted to destroy your life.
Yeah.
Failing to vote tomorrow is the same as voting for a Democrat. Find your voting location at swampthevoteusa.com. So, kind of a lot going on here, right?
Yeah.
I love the invocation of it. You will rue the day that you voted to destroy your life. It's like, well, my energy bill went up. Even if my energy bill were to quadruple, it'd be a nightmare. I mean, I would not welcome that.
Sure.
I don't think it quite qualifies destroying my life.
It would be interesting to look back on that day as the day.
Yeah.
Right.
You'd be like, well,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like the races. It's a strange one, right? Because how important are they actually to Trump's ability to function? Do you think?
Not that important, but he wants friendly governors in for when he sends the troops in and does his.
But also, he seems to
do that anyway.
He seems to have some political use for governors who he's not friendly with too, right?
Well, right, they're villains that he can blame stuff on.
That's right.
It seems like Spannenberg, who is, by the way, awful, former CIA agent. It's ideal New York Times Democrat. She's one of the agents whose grandfather was also an agent, and he killed JFK. It's like another progressive who got over his skis, right? It's
the party's had a lot of time since the 2024 election to self-reflect, and they've come up with a CIA agent to run.
Well, she was already in Congress, so easy choice, right? And then the race in New Jersey is much closer.
But it's not really, right?
No, it's pretty close. Trump gained a lot of ground in New Jersey in the last election. I think he was up 8. He gained.
What is it right now?
I think it's 52-48. It's pretty. It's pretty tight.
Has Ann Seltzer weighed in?
Seltzer's retired. Remember? That was her swan song.
I'd like her to come back here and just
one last
15 R.
She sort of pokes her head out of the groundhog hole.
That's right.
I don't know why I'm claiming she's some kind of prairie rodent, but never mind. I guess Trump is, he's doing well, and we'd love to see it.
It definitely seems like a situation where he could easily not be doing this, right? But I think that we're just in the realm where there's not a single thing that he won't react to in this exact way, right? I believe every single letter in the truth is all caps. Is that right?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So he's even given up the odd lowercase.
Yeah, there's no lowercase at all. Did you see the 60 Minutes interview? I was at a meeting, but I saw some highlights.
You saw obviously the pardon of the Binance guy,
where he doesn't know what she's talking about, apparently.
Right, and delivered as justification.
He's like, well, I've never heard anything about that. It's like, well, you signed the pardon. And it's his big knock on Biden is that Biden allegedly pardoned all these people without knowing he was pardoning, right?
Well, and then the opposite. So in that clip, it's, he's like, well, I didn't know anything about it. And then turns it all, it says my sons, who he's obviously implicating as being responsible for this out of the clearest conflict of interest that you've ever seen.
That's right. Yeah.
That Binance, bought a bunch of this world liberty stuff or what have you, right? $2 billion or something. And he's just like, well, they're running a business. They're not in government. And, I think crypto's pretty good business. I like what they're doing.
That Hunter Biden, on the other hand.
What he was told was that it was the two things, and they came out in this order too, which is also funny. He's like, it was, I heard that he got a 4-month sentence, and it was a result. It was a Biden witch hunt. I'm like, oh yes, those famous witch hunts that end in 4-month slaps on the wrist.
That's what happened to the witches at Salem, you know?
Yes, exactly.
They're like,
You'll have 120 days in the corner.
yeah, time served.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Oh no, wait, we're gonna press you to death with stones. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure there'll be some vitriolic reaction from Trump either way tomorrow.
Yes.
And I look forward to that. So let's pivot to talking about this movie. It is short, so perhaps this will finally be the fabled short End of the World with Michael and Stu episode that we've every week, not every week, but often before we start recording, Michael and I will be, sort of game planning the episode. And so, I think this is going to be a short one. I don't think.
Right, but we never factor in the 7-minute screed on Da Vinci that somehow comes out every time we get going.
Why are you looking at me? I would never do that. I love Da Vinci. I feel like
why don't you give a bit of an intro?
All right. Well, before we do that, what's your experience with Abel Ferrara? Have you watched a lot of his movies?
No, we talked about this. It was Bad Lieutenant.
You've never seen Bad Lieutenant?
No, I never.
Oh man, that's a great movie. You should see it. Also,
everyone tells me that.
King of New York. You've never seen?
Yeah.
Christopher Walken is like a gangster getting out of jail. 1990. Great young Wesley Snipes and David Caruso as cops who are partners. Really good movie, really fun. And then I think I've seen one other movies of his that I've marked on Letterboxd, and that's The Addiction, which is like a Lily Taylor vampire movie from the mid-90s. Also Abel. So Abel's themes are, I'm calling him Abel because we're all chums. Yeah. But he's obsessed with Catholicism, with drug addiction, because he himself was, in fact, a drug addict for much of his life. I believe even when making this movie, he was still on a horse, as I like to call it. Yeah. He was still chasing the dragon in the form of smoking horse. As I'm busting out my very outmoded slang for doing heroin.
May you explain the pacing of the movie?
Yeah. So, the basic premise is we follow two characters primarily throughout the film, right? There's Cisco and Skye. They are in a relationship. They live in a nice apartment right down by the Williamsburg Bridge, right on...
Gorgeous place.
So it's on like Delancey, right? And right near the Essex Street stop. Like you can see the McDonald's that's there that you see when you get out. It's
famous McDonald's. If anyone's coming to visit, definitely stop by.
To that McDonald's, yeah, you simply must. I mean, the Essex Street McDonald's. They're coming to New York for how long? For 3 hours? Well, Essex Street McDonald's probably your first stop. I've never been in there, but I've walked by it probably 100 times. I was in fact there last night, like after watching this earlier in the week. And it's a huge loft apartment that has an elevator that comes directly up to it. Paradise. And the world is going to end. Basically, the film chronicles the last day on Earth, as the title says, and the world will end at 4:44, and we aren't really told in precise detail why, but basically,
we're treated to this sort of generalized catastrophe that is a result of the known potential catastrophes that have been talked about for the years leading up to the movie,
primarily relating to climate, and in this case, the ozone layer. So the ozone layer has been irreparably damaged to such an extent that a solar flare of some kind is due to kick off at 4:44 in the morning, and everyone on Earth will die. There is no one who will live. Presumably all vegetation, just everything on the planet Earth is going to die.
And there's no suspense. Somehow it is a precise and known calculation, right? There is no sort of fingers crossed people in this movie.
I mean, there's a couple sort of gestures at what if they're wrong, but no one seems to really be taking it that
seriously. Yeah.
Yeah. And the main character, Cisco, is an actor and his partner is a painter. I don't know if we're told that he's an actor, but that's definitely in the supporting material for this movie. And it's Willem DaFoe plays Cisco. Now, it's also a lot of product placement in this movie. I mean, we've already mentioned the McDonald's that is shown several times. Skype features in the film. They're
Skype is spoken out loud. We're on Skype. This is Skype. I'm not great at Skype.
yeah, yeah. And I was just being like, how much did Skype pay for this? Like 100K, 10K? Like what's the going rate for that in 2011?
I'm gonna say 100K.
I would guess as much. I mean, considering how much it is invoked. Like,
yeah, right.
Skype is like the third main character in this movie, essentially.
Yeah.
So a lot of it also feels very improv, right? Particularly DaFoe's part, where a lot of the film he's just kind of wandering around his apartment and or out on the roof next door, or it opens onto a kind of rooftop terrace. Just kind of.
But it does feel. I just want to say lastly about the Skype thing. It does feel like this is one of the parts of the movie that is a little ahead of its time. Like, yes, we did have these things, right?
Yeah.
But it felt like watching like a COVID movie.
Absolutely.
The way they communicated, and that wasn't like in other movies in 2011.
Absolutely not. No, that was a little bit eerie. Like,
absolutely,
it had anticipated an aspect of a later apocalyptic scenario.
You're at least like a lot of people choosing to be stuck in their house or just sit at home at the end, and so they're communicating in this way that we've all obviously experienced. But in 2011, just a really interesting and kind of like bang on decision by Ferrara there.
Yeah, I don't even remember. I don't remember doing too many video calls prior to COVID. I mean, I must have done some.
Yeah, I feel like
family. Yeah,
like my uncle in England. I think we were doing like early like let's see each other's face type conversation.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it wasn't like you would casually call your buddy on Skype.
No, and it's funny because like video phones are such a aspect of older visions of the future. I feel like the Jetsons have video phones, so people in like the 60s are like, well, video phones are going to be a big deal, and it took a pandemic to make that true. So we see a meter maid is giving tickets, which is interesting.
Yes, this is also one of the interesting pieces
because this is your favorite thing about the end of the world is the idea that some people just persist in their jobs until the moment the meteor hits or whatever.
Right, and this one, it would, I guess I could levy the same criticism that one might levy at like an Arrival type movie.
Yes,
right. But they do a couple of interesting things. So one of the examples I always give is that like there's always some newscaster. Right,
you can't not have the newscaster.
Yeah, just his family's like, I cannot believe you are leaving at a time. It's like somebody must report the news, and like somehow is in like full face and perfectly manicured suit.
And the rest of the people are in the newsroom filming, and
absolutely,
the editor is making sure multiple they cut to cameras. Commercial.
Yes, that's right. And in this one, you do see a newscast,
and he's like, well, the world's ending.
Yes, he's like, I'm not going to sit around, and he's not angry. He's not doing like a network.
He's like, there's nothing more to say.
Yeah. But then interestingly, it's like, we're going to keep images of the city going just until the end.
Live cameras.
Yeah. And so then it sort of speaks to this really weird blend of you get, and I don't know if it's almost like a class thing, right? At times, it feels like, whether it's people handing out tickets or delivering food, right? The people who are just functioning normally while seemingly everybody is not, right? Everyone is either cordoned off in their home or drinking and partying with friends or, going crazy on the street, the types of things that like I don't like in movies like this. However, this is also a different type of catastrophe, right?
Yeah.
So like when you have an Arrival situation and there's all of these alien vessels, the end is not known. In fact, there's more questions than ever. And that's why it's like, how are you actually just going to work the next day? Right? This, however, it does speak to like that people probably would react in a variety of ways because when it's happening, it's all over. It's not up for debate. And so, I obviously things like the karaoke bar being open is still pretty weird, but then you could just see like, why don't we just do karaoke? That's what we do every Tuesday night.
Yeah, totally. And Yeah, I mean, another thing about the film is we don't have any sense of how long people have known. Also,
Yeah, I mean, you get the
it
sense
doesn't
that
feel that sudden though. Like,
no, but also it's like, what year? What year was Inconvenient Truth again?
uh, 2002 or three, something like that.
Yeah,
No,
like probably
2006. Sorry.
yeah, so like 5 years before this,
Yeah.
and so and it features prominently in the movie
Right.
too.
I mean, Al Gore is in the movie. We'll
Right.
we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah. Sure.
Let's just set up the characters a little bit more. Um,
Yeah.
so Cisco seems pretty upset. He's kind of wondering about. We cut occasionally these guys. He's watching TV. There's guys in Africa who are just playing the drums. Uh, Looking around downtown, it's not pandemonium. It's not too far from a dime square that would never come to be, sadly. Um, Psych. There's a bunch of organic BS on their shelves. You know, they're classic, like, hipster. They're into Buddhism, right? They meditate later in the movie. I felt like somewhere in the background for Ferrara is the Mayan Apocalypse talk, the 2012 talk, right? This is a year before that. So
Interesting.
it's kind of like in the air in that era, right?
Yeah.
So, like, what it doesn't mention that specifically, but
the book is flying off the shelves.
people were on the street corners in downtown New York, like holding up "The World Is Ending." There's an extended makeout session as she's working on her canvas, which is positioned on the floor, which I like. She's throughout the movie, she makes this big painting, which we'll talk about towards the end. And then there's like a 7-minute sex scene, which I was like, it's really eating away the minutes here. Nice. He wakes up after sex. She's back to Skye's back to painting. Then we cut to Al Gore on Charlie Rose, not directly from the movie. Talks about catastrophic sea rise, all of his classic catastrophizing that he did in the movie. That when we covered that was one of the first things we did for the show. But I think we got Gore. We nailed him. He's a little bit, I mean, he's right about the severity and importance of climate change, but he does catastrophize a lot with his graphs of like all of New York City underwater and stuff. It's like quite unlikely to be the eventuality that occurs.
And again, you don't know what his intentions are, whether it's simply misinformation or taking things too far, or just like a desperate.
Or just like that's what the worst case scenario was then. And like we have better information now.
Yeah. How do we rattle cages?
Certainly, I think it's a mix of all of those things. Yeah. Then we have a first Skype call with his buddy Teddy, and they're playing music over Skype, which is beautiful. There's one way to hear music. It's played through 2011 era Skype. She's doing a kind of Pollock thing. I was kind of confused by the painting. She's using a lot of different techniques. Mostly it's black, and then she does this sort of white ring around it. And then she starts doing the kind of drip Pollock, I'm like, okay, this is going to be like an abstract painting. Sort of takes its shape as the film goes on. Cisco's writing in his diary. He's like,
he's being pretty direct.
Very exposition heavy. Tomorrow the world will end at 4:44 a.m. Ozone layer will be destroyed by a solar flare. No possible means of escape. There will be no survivors. The world will end. And I wrote in my notes, yes, this is the money shit we crave.
That's right.
I was like, damn, they knew our podcast was coming. He's trying to get in touch over Skype with this young black girl who I think we learn later is his daughter from his ex. Skye's now pouring white on the painting.
That conversation, I think, is worth mentioning, though, too, right? Because, obviously they're estranged, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because a little later in the movie, they get a little more direct, but you're starting to have these interactions that are like the last time you're going to interact.
Yeah.
And these are the moments I think that are kind of the most interesting, right? Because he's sort of trying without dramatically attempting to recover something, or at least
apologize,
end well, right? Like something of an amends, but it's done through this normalcy of so what are you up to tonight, basically?
And it's like, oh, my friend's coming over. She's sad she'll die a virgin.
Yeah.
And that really gets him. Down. He starts to cry. And then the mother comes on and
Don't cry in front of her.
berates her. This is upsetting already. Why are you making it worse?
Right. Which again is like kind of an interesting, I think, statement about the general view of crisis that and the way that we handle it politically in an age of like
Right. The options.
self-esteem and the illusion of control and free will and everything's going to be fine.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Let's not get too upset about these things. Like, to the bitter end that like to like rattle someone's sensibilities is somehow a sin worse than the looming end of the world, right?
No, absolutely. Throughout the film, also, there are these various tapes that kind of play in the background. One is this Klaus Kinski-ass looking white Buddhist guy who's like, what does karma mean? Karma means doing something, saying something, thinking something that puts an image in your mind. So I was like, okay. Your body is an image in your mind. And he's sort of talking about the immateriality of the spirit versus the flesh. So the idea that our bodies are going to be consumed in this solar flare doesn't really matter.
Yeah. There's a bit of like the world is not the world type.
Right, the veil of Maya, which is like the whole world that we experience is this veil of Maya, this ancient goddess. And when you pierce through that, you realize, that...
Which makes sense in the moment if you already have these proclivities as like a sort of coping mechanism.
Absolutely. Right? He goes out and... he's very upset. He's like muttering to himself. The noisy guitar is still playing. All this stuff is kind of playing in a cacophonous melange of sound, right? He's sort of dancing. He dances with Skye. He goes out to smoke a cigarette, get a breath of air, and things seem normal. It's almost as if they shot this just on a random day in 2011 in downtown New York.
That is one of the interesting elements of the pacing, right? Because it really there's not that many cuts of time or anything like that, and it gives you the sense of like how long a day actually is.
Yeah.
And like even when something like this is happening, it's like, okay, I'm gonna go outside for a bit.
Yeah.
Right. And like it stretches it out in this really interesting way that these people can experience all these different things in the run up to this catastrophe.
To this end point. As he's out there, he looks over on the fire escape next door, and there's just a guy standing there in a suit who just kind of looks at him and then leaps to his death. Doesn't even leap, just kind of steps off and falls to his death. He's shocked. He runs up to yell. He looks over, of course. Nothing can be done. Then we cut to the news, talking about the newscaster scene that we already discussed a little bit, but he mentions 9/11, which is obviously another thing in the background.
Yeah, I love this.
And another one of our favorite topics. Not because we approve
also
of
just like he talks about like the spirit of 9/11.
Yeah, he talks about the spirit of 9/11, and that spirit is obtained again. We're all in this together. Al Gore was right. He'd already ruined the planet. We're all about to die regardless of wealth. This is the end of our commentary. We'll leave these pictures of the live cameras up until the end, right? Al Gore was right. it's like okay.
Al Gore invented the internet.
Yeah.
And we believe the live camera feeds up until the end. Yeah.
Then we cut. Then we do have a time cut. It's night. Mm-hmm. First ominous soundtrack music comes in. For the most part, aside from the background noise and the awful guitar over Skype music, it's been mostly soundtrack free. They're doing a meditation together. Their legs are crossed in that style that I absolutely cannot do. Cisco has sort of visions as he's meditating of riots, violence, fire. He sees the Midgard serpent Jormungandr, whom we talked about just a few weeks ago, right? That's the spirit, the serpent that's biting its tail, and when it unleashes its tail, that means the end of the world has come, and it's coming to eat us all. Very ominous. Catches a vision of Christ. Then he sees himself hacking down a tree. It's all very low res. It's all very like video. Feels like early digital. Feels good. I kind of like that about it. Mm-hmm. Cut to people in Egypt. We see the Northern Lights. He's chopping this palm tree down. It reminds me a little bit of Dafoe's role as Jesus in The Last Temptation of Christ by Marty Scorsese. Movie we should probably do at some point. I mean, did you ever see that?
Yeah.
It's a good movie. The novel is really good. I don't know if you ever read it. You're not a big Kazan Zatkis head? You're not just like reading Zorba the Greek nonstop? I had a little Kazan Zatkis phase in high school, as one does. I'm shocked to hear it, as one does, right? Actually, I was just really, for a while, I was just really into reading books that featured a fictionalized depiction of Jesus. Not because I was religious, but just because I thought it was an interesting topos. The other books in that are, of course, Master and Margarita by Bulgakov and D.H. Lawrence's The Man Who Died. All of these will be covered in short order on The End of the World with Michael and Stu. Skye, worth noting that Shanyn Leigh, who plays Skye, was Abel Ferrara's girlfriend at the time and has very few credits other than this movie. I think she's in like 4 or 5 other things.
She's quite good in this.
Yeah, I like her as well. How can you not think about the end? How can you not think about what's going to happen next? Cutting down a tree, then the trade towers, atomic bomb, fuck that. What are the experts? These guys, this is just Cisco muttering as he kind of wanders in the dark. This felt very improv to me, like, all right, Willem, go out on the thing and like mutter about some of the things we've been talking about. He's like, got it. They don't know what the fuck is what's going on. We're all gonna die. Then he's thinking about the suicide. He's like, look right at me. And he looks over and he sees people covering up the guy who killed himself. And he's like, leave that guy alone. Leave that guy alone. And then he sees his landlord and he's like, Wally, how much was that extra? Was that extra rent you charged worth it? He is, as the young people like to say, crashing out.
Yes,
he's crashing out a little bit. Skye comes out with him. She's like, he's kind of like threatening to throw her off the balcony. He takes his journal, we saw him writing in earlier, he chucks it into the street. Skye comes out, he's like, why don't we just jump now? Why don't we imitate the guy who killed himself earlier, And she's like, no. She sort of pulls him back from the edge. It sort of seems like he's going to throw her, but he doesn't. The digital film in this looks really good. There's like a weird kind of warping in the sky. I was really into how this movie looked. It is with Ferrara's classic cinematographer, the one who did all of his, his more fetid films in the 80s and 90s. They do this thing where he's holding her up on his feet. She's flying.
Yeah, he's like, do you want to fly? And I guess this is obviously something that they like do every now and then.
Some kind of foreplay thing, some kind of demented... Like, because he's treating her.
She like puts her stomach on
his feet, and he holds her up.
Yeah.
And it's like something a parent would do to a child, which I think speaks to their relationship.
Impressive core strength,
Yeah, well done. Planking.
Well, yes, it does speak. She is much younger.
I feel like planking was in around this time. Maybe
absolutely.
Maybe they're invoking planking. She's much younger, and we learn in the conversation with the daughter and the mother that he left his ex-wife and his daughter to be with this much younger woman
when she was a teenager.
Yeah,
and that is one of the great moments of the movie, actually, where he just like pulls the rug out from her in front of her with his ex-wife, where he's like, "I didn't want this to happen. All you had to do was hang around. You just needed to be a little more patient with me, and we would have been fine."
And then Skye hears this, runs in, and starts screaming, losing it at the Skype, eventually closing the door. Before that, though, they order Vietnamese food, and again, the Vietnamese kid
arrives.
What's that? Which arrives.
Somehow arrives, yes.
And like Cisco, gives him $400. It's all the money he has, and he's like, can I do anything for you? And he's like, Skype. And he's like, oh, Skype, I can do that. And we see him talking to his family in Vietnam, untranslated, no subtitles. Eventually, Skye, as he's leaving, embraces the Vietnamese kid and is like, I'm so glad I've known you. Which is like, this is the guy who's come to their house bringing Vietnamese food dozens of times.
Yeah, like how many times, right?
It's a little interesting. Then we cut to the Dalai Lama, whom I love. Not. Sorry, I'm not. I'm not into absolute monarchy, Michael. Anyway, we're going to be big in China now that I've said this. No, I mean, I think Tibetan Buddhism is fine or whatever. He is an absolute monarch. I don't like that. Anyway, let's not get into this. Someone's interviewing him and he says, money is the source of all evil. Is that true? Yes. No, says the Dalai Lama. Yes, if we become slaves to money. Okay, wow. Amazing.
Thank you for that insight.
She's still working on the painting, but now she's adding colors. It's growing. His daughter calls. We talked about the conversation already. I wasn't too crazy about Skye's overreaction initially watching it, but also note that Skye, the name, is just one letter off from Skype, the theme. And his name is Cisco, which is, Cisco Systems. It's like so there's some kind of something going on.
So maybe Cisco paid $100K.
Yeah. Skye Skypes with her mom, who's Anita Pallenberg. This is her final film role. Are you familiar with Pallenberg's work at all?
Yeah.
She was most famous in the 60s for dating Brian Jones of the Rolling Stones and then leaving him for Keith Richards, which was followed very shortly by Brian Jones's mysterious death in a swimming pool. Cisco has a fight with Skye after the blow up over the conversation with his wife, and he goes to visit some friends. Pallenberg is like, the Chinese did. Pallenberg's mom Skye's mom sounds completely Q-pilled. She's like, the Chinese did an atomic explosion 5,000 years ago. And it's like,
right. But again, like another coping mechanism, right? She's big into like, yeah, we all might perish, but this will go on, like that type of thing.
You did the right thing by being an artist. Your art is like the best thing, Cisco climbs up to his friend's apartment where we meet
Natasha Lyonne.
Natasha Lyonne is there, and these are all junkies and ex-junkies. It's the apartment of a drug dealer.
Yeah. This is, to me, one of the most interesting conversations of the movie, because what it becomes is there's obviously booze and drugs there, and a few people are partaking, and a couple of people are not, and he's kind of on the fence, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And so he's been sober
for 2 years.
2 years and change, and the friend that he comes to see, is basically explaining why, despite the sort of end of the world notion that we all sort of have, like, oh, well, may as well get fucked up, right? May as well do something crazy. Basically gives an argument for precisely why at this moment you would not do that. And on one sense, it's a little simple. It's like, I just want to be
who I have
aware on the way out. But it's also about like, I want to like end in the version I want it to be.
That's right.
And I did think that was a really interesting moment, and sort of like short circuits Cisco's like potential descent, right,
into a catastrophic relapse just before the end of the world.
And he has this fight with Skye, and you get the sense like this is what he's
just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna get heroin. Like,
that's right.
And that actor is Paul Hipp, who plays Noah, the sober friend, who is he's in a bunch of Ferrara's earlier movies. So it's like,
okay,
like seeing him, if you're a Ferrara head, you're like, oh damn, like there he is. It's kind of like, and it's a very short scene. It's 10 minutes long, right? Natasha Lyonne has almost no lines and is there playing. We see
her charming self.
Yeah, we see her kind of stealing some. She like takes a little fingernail from the heroin or coke that's laid out in lines and does some. She's, I think, with Noah, the Paul Hipp character, who is talking about how he's not going to relapse, and she's kind of like, well,
and then she like goes into another like of the end of the world tropes, and she's like, I just want to get laid. That I can do,
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was a good scene too. I almost wish we had a little bit more of that. As he's leaving, he kind of goes off.
It did make me think that like I wouldn't have minded a more extensive, not necessarily that just one group, but a trip out to see various people, I think, and get a few different perspectives. It does a good job of showing some of the claustrophobia of it, but I do think we could have had a few more perspectives to like bring a bit of color to the movie.
Yeah. He's just wandering around after that. He goes off with the drug dealer as he's leaving, and he's like, it sort of seems like maybe he scored as he was leaving, and we find out shortly that, in fact, he did score. He did get age. He did get some horse, as I like to call it, just because I think it's a funny name for horrible drug. We see a little bit of the streets. They're on Ludlow, where you recently hosted a avant-garde comedy show, right?
Yes.
Just not far from there. Oh, I guess you were in Orchard.
Sold out.
Yeah.
I mean, it was free, but it was packed.
Yeah. Well, you made $100 million from that free event. It was very strange.
Yeah, it's also like this is an interesting shot, right? Where like there's just not that many people.
It's not that crowded,
right? But there's like one woman like yelling that she doesn't want to die.
Yeah, and there's another woman who's like trying to hook up with anyone who passes by. Then we see the guy doing karaoke at the karaoke bar that's still, it seemed pretty normal for the end of the world. But I could also see that. I mean, I feel like if you went to Union Square or Washington Square or something, maybe there'd be more people gathered. But
yeah, I mean, I think that
Lower East Side random
this was to somehow be happening. I think that like you definitely would see a lot of this like soft communal behavior in pocket.
Yeah. So he buzzes back into his own apartment because he forgot to take his key. Also funny that the power is still on. Everything's just running as normal, They have sex and they're not even using a condom. No more sex for them.
He says, come inside me. May as well finally go.
Probably safe, right? And finally, the second sex scene, I say, the one we've been craving in my notes. Eventually, we see her painting again, and what she has been painting is, in fact, Jormungandr, the Midgard serpent biting its own tail, which I did a copy of that for the icon of the episode because I thought it was cool and it tied in with our Norse, Ragnarok episode. Then we find him in the bathroom, and he's getting ready to heat up the heroin and inject it. He's got his spoon out. He's got all the gear. He's doing the ritual. And she finds him. She's furious. She's kind of inarticulably furious. She's sort of like, no, Yeah. And he kind of he's like sort of violent with her. But I think in that moment he recognizes that his friend Noah was right. That this isn't who he wants to be at the end. Right. So we see him.
Yeah, and again, like that's what I mean. I don't know if he has that reaction without that conversation too.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see him crumple that up. And he sets it aside. He's not going to do it. And, we hear a cut to Joseph Campbell, the, hero's journey, Jungian bullshit master. Sorry, I also fucking hate Joseph Campbell.
What's wrong with Campbell?
He's fine. It's just I'm not into Jung. I don't like Jung.
Okay.
Don't get me started. I don't even have a really great reason. I like Freud. I don't like Jung. All right.
Okay.
Just leave it at that. All right.
Do you feel like you just have to because you've taken a side type thing?
No, I've tried to get into Jung several times, and it just feels like mealy mouth bullshit to me. Mm-hmm. All right. Sorry. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that venerate Jung. And like Joseph Campbell, he's just like, this is the hero's journey. But like the hero's journey is so pliant. It's so facile. It can be applied to anything. It's like, the hero's journey is here, and this is a hero. It's like screenwriting bullshit. It's like, in Act 1, you've got to have.
Joseph Campbell's like the early like save the cat.
Absolutely, right? Like that. That's what it feels like to me, and I just think it's too structuralist in a too rigid way. I think it's better if you're going to analyze art.
Sort of like lit crit by numbers.
A little bit. And I just don't find it that compelling. But what he says is the serpent represents the dynamic of life. Life can throw off death, meaning because the serpent sheds its skin, right? And it's like, it's a new serpent. There's the old one is over there, which is what the Romans believe. Like they believe snakes were immortal. And that when it shed its skin, that was like it was being born again. Oh. A little bit more sophisticated idea of biology was probably something they could have worked on. Aristotle also believed that there was an island where the mice only ate iron. And like, it's a lot of bullshit in ancient biology. He says, life can throw off death. The deity itself is against life. Life is something, as it were, to be despised instead of celebrated. So that was
I don't,
interesting.
I don't hate that last line.
No, I thought that was all right. Like, he's fine. I just spent a bunch of time slagging him off, but he's all right.
I mean, it is an interesting concept that I do think is worthy of some sort of consideration, right? Because so much of the justification of our lives is this idea that it is worthy of celebration. And I think that you go through enough things in your life where like it's hard to say that that's actually the case, not to make too big a deal of it or get too down about it, but yeah, it's an interesting twist to be like, no, this is the thing that you need to get rid of.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know yeah.
It's also interesting contrast with the Buddhist stuff from earlier, which is all about how the material world doesn't matter and
That's right.
So it's
Right, and this feels fitting given that it's closer to the end, right?
yeah. And he has a little Jimmy Stewart with binoculars moment where he's kind of taking one last peep around the neighborhood.
Yeah, why not? What's everyone up to?
So he sees a guy with his dog. The guy's feeding steak to the dog out of his mouth, which is presumably something he's done before. The dog doesn't seem too confused by it. We see some classic Abel stuff, which is like the Virgin Mary statue and like Christ on that's all over his earlier material. Getting really close to the end here. He's lying with Skye. The painting is cool. There's a cool thing where like the painting looks as it does, and then at one moment they superimpose like what it's supposed to be over. Yeah. Like it comes clearer and then it fades out. The icon is that clearer image. It's a little bit more cartoony. It's a little bit more detailed. The spiral, the clock face, the eternal return, hooking up on top of the painting of the Midgard serpent, the child with the cobra, Jesus on the cross, the hands of the damned reaching up from hell. These are all images that kind of flash across the screen as the end approaches. There's a weird guy in blackface.
Yeah, that was very bizarre.
Whatever. You can see the ring light in Cisco's eyes.
Yep.
Which is, something all content creators struggle with, right? But I like how Abel Ferrara just kind of leans into that. We kind of just focus in on those little glimmering rings in his eyes. Skye's kind of reciting her wedding vows, it sounds like. And then there's just a flash of light and the movie's over. Mm-hmm. And the world has presumably ended.
Yes.
So, I don't know. A slow movie.
Not a substantial movie.
Not a lot of plot, but
again, like 80 minutes in and out, I think a lot of people would enjoy and get something out of watching.
It's not bad. Like it's good in a weird way. It has no plot. There's a slight hero's journey where Abel refuses the call of the heroine. But I as artificial as it is having all these like piped in Al Gore, Dalai Lama, Joseph Campbell, I didn't mind that either. I was like, well, look, at least there's like some thought going on here. There's something like she's making a painting. Like there's some intellectual activity in this movie.
Yeah, and like it's rare. I mean, to go back to like the Save the Cat of it all, right? Like it is rare to see something like this sort of attempted where the rules of engagement are made quite clear. It's a relatively peaceful like ending to the world, right? Yeah. And we do get the sense that some chaos is happening, but like what we are treated to are like, a crazy old mom saying, hang in there, everything's going to be okay. And, a dad having a moment with his daughter, and to then get to the end and not have like something crazy happen.
Yeah.
I think was a really fun choice. It was like, no, this is what we said this was going to be.
And this is what it is. Yeah.
That's right. And so, they have their like slight hiccups, but even when, they're fighting or he's freaking out on the roof, or they're fighting about the ex-wife, like you never get the sense that the relationship is under any real threat and that they will maybe go out in animosity. And I think is like a kind of powerful choice to like so many apocalyptic pieces of apocalyptic media are about the like bringing out of the worst in people, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's like looting or pillage or sexual violence, and
The
rape.
Hobbesian impulse, the war of all against
and,
all.
And this one instead, it doesn't make them like sort of like perfect evolved beings, but it definitely sides more sympathetically with like humanity, sort of reckoning with what's bad about it, but also what's good about it.
No, that's right. That's right. Yeah, no, I agree. So yeah, 81 minutes, quick hit, some interesting stuff to think about. Yeah, 2 thumbs up. We recommend it. All right. So next week we're going to be talking about the results of the election, New York City, what New York City has to look forward to.
We're going to be talking about the reaction to the results, I say, would be a more accurate.
I think that's right. Yeah. And that'll be interesting, to say the least.
I mean, if we're even allowed to record a podcast after this guy wins, right? We'll see.
Well, did you hear the Chapo Premium episodes the last 2 weeks where them playing this tabletop Law and Order game where they're living in like the Caliph Zoran, like New York City, and they're like, it's so funny. It's like, it's really well done. In the meantime, if you like the show, you can follow us on the podcatcher of your choice. If you really like it, you could leave us a rating and or review on that podcatcher. You can also tell a friend about the show. You could force your family to listen on an awkward car ride. So many ways that you could help spread the word about the end of the world. You can also follow us on Instagram at End of the World WMS, where we like to post reels of our adventures. I already said that.
Little teasers.
Yeah, little teasers of what's going on with our lives, where we are emotionally, where we are spiritually. So next week, New York election reaction. And until then, this has been the End of the World with Michael and Stu.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Stu, and we'll talk to you real soon.